Hello everyone, I'm Linda Ann Smith at Studio ABC. This is the fourth day of our Love Spring Art CAC Art Crawl. So far I've done a progression of watercolors starting with this floral that led into the next one because I wiped off my paint and cleaned up my brushes and tested paint on another sheet, and out of the sheet that I tested for the floral I created another painting. And as I was creating that painting, I created another wipe-off test sheet, and out of that test sheet, I created the third painting. And you see where the progression is going, because out of this painting, I created yet another backup sheet or wipe-up sheet. From this painting, I put these colors over onto another piece of paper, and I've got it taped down to my board, ready to go. I used to carry around a small pocket sketchbook, and I kept it with me all the time, and it was in my jeans pocket. And I'm glad I took a picture of this sketch because I washed those, and when you wash the sketchbooks, yes, they are biodegradable. I got nothing back except the spring. I've always thought I would do a painting based on the sketch someday, and I guess this is someday. This is a light blue Prang brand pencil, and every time I see the brand Prang, I think of my childhood because my very first set of watercolors was that brand. I could have used a watercolor pencil. This is just a regular colored pencil. Could have used a watercolor pencil, but this one was handy and it works, and it was sitting right here when I wanted to start. So I'm making my sketch lightly. I don't even know if you can see this or not. I'll go over it just a little bit harder in a moment, but I'm making a little sketch, just guidelines. Nothing that I have to worry about too much if I don't go by it. Just make the sketch. I'm going to start by pulling out some of my Twinkling H2Os, the hard pan watercolors, in some of the blue family, all of the blue family colors that I love. And I have another sheet from my watercolor pad ready, so that all I have to do is wipe off the extra colors or put the extra colors on here that I don't use, and be ready for the fifth day of Love Spring Arts. So you just saw me putting the extra paint from my brush, from just pulling the paint out of the little container right onto that watercolor pad. And I didn't get it in focus very well, but you'll see it later. I'll begin my painting with Bolivian Blue, Azurite, and Mystique. I've always been drawn to water, but I fell absolutely in love with the ocean when I took my first cruise. Everybody was sunning on the deck, and I was hanging my head over the side of the ship. No, I wasn't seasick. I've never experienced seasickness, but I was watching the way the water swirled and twirled, and the patterns and the highlights and the way the sunshine hit the water. I loved seeing the way the water came off of the ship and made patterns, and I guess that's the artist in me. Gosh, I just realized it's been 8 years since I've been on a ship. Wouldn't it be fun to have a shipload of artists and take a cruise to some beautiful destination island? As I paint, I'm not trying to reproduce this sketch. I'm just using it as a guide for what I'm painting now. It already looked like the ocean before I added any paint to it at all. At least it did to me. But I thought I'd do a stylized ocean wave and just have fun with it. You know, I'm all about having fun when you create art. One important rule of composition is that you don't break the page in half, either horizontally or vertically. So I'm going up here and adding an area for the horizon. At this stage, I'm just blocking things in because I'm pretty sure that before I finish, I'm going to end up with some ink on this of some sort, either Sharpies or some kind of artist pens, to get a lot of detail into this ocean wave. That really white cloud up there looks really neat, but I think I've got another idea for it when I get through blocking in some of these colors where I want them. That's where the palm tree was, and I think that little white, that whitest area at the top, can become one of my palms. I continue to refer to my sketch just to check things out, not to reproduce it, but just to check things out. And here I'm cleaning up paint. As I was cleaning this up, I already had so much blue on the pad that I was going to use for tomorrow's that I decided to use a different piece of watercolor paper and try cleaning it up and putting it on one that I had already smeared with some brown. So from this painting, I'm creating two papers to battle the fear of the white page. These watercolors dry pretty fast, but I want to be sure that they are totally dry before I go into it with a second layer of color. I used my heat embossing tool to dry it, and now I'm ready to start with something new. That little cloud up there, that little white cloud, I'm turning it into a palm tree. And the way I'm doing this is just by adding water and using an absorbent towel or paper towel to soak up all the water. So it's a reverse technique. I'm lifting the paint instead of putting paint onto the paper. Time to stretch my artistic license and put a little more drama into this ocean wave. I'm using rose petal to just outline some things and put in some accents here and there. This is a stylized ocean wave, and I'm not at all worried about using realistic colors. Although I started with blue, I'm going to end up with just a kaleidoscope of colors on this. At least that's what I think I'm going to do at this point. As you know, I work intuitively, and so I have a right to change my mind. That's what I'm thinking at this point, however. To make the teardrop shapes into the splashes, I put my brush down closer to the paper and then lift up as I come away, as I make the tail on it. I'm looking back at those trees that I made. I'm trying to decide exactly how I want to handle that as I paint, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use green on that. If I use green over on that side, I probably need some over on the left also. I don't know if I want to use a semi-realistic color on the palm trees. So I'm going to go ahead and make just fun little splashes here and there and continue to enhance this ocean wave before I make any decisions. You saw me wiping off on my wipe-off paper again. To get a good crisp layer, I'm going to need to dry this thoroughly again before I start with a layer of yellow rose. It's so shimmery, and I'll try to get it balanced out across the page. You see here what I did with it. I decided to go back into the yellow rose and work some more on my sand on the island over there and go ahead with the palm trees. This way I'm not committed to green, but if I want to turn some green in it, all I have to do is use a little bit of blue. So it's a little hard to see yellow, but this yellow rose, I'm adding it to the trunks, the leaves, and everything on these three palms. I brought my Bolivian blue back out because I decided I wanted to enhance some of these lines before I start working with my ink pens. After it's dry, I decided to use my Zebra Z-Grip pens. I think they're gel pens, to add the details and kind of clean up some of the edges on this painting. They've been laying around in my studio for some time, and the one color that I thought I would be using on here was the turquoise, and all 5 of the turquoise pens that I had would not write. They have ink in them, so I'm wondering if I can use this ink to make alcohol inks. If anyone knows, let me know. Or if you know a way to get the pens started after they've been sitting for a while, that might be helpful. I want to remind you that these videos that I've been making lately are a collaboration with the Facebook page of video creators who do art projects of all different kinds. And to find that, you need to go to your YouTube search box and type in #LoveSpringArt. Each month there is a different hashtag, so you need to watch for that with your favorite artists. Also, if you're a video creator, you might want to look up the page on Facebook called Creative Arts Collaboration, and that's where we get together for our collaborations that we do on YouTube. I'm considering starting my own Facebook group for subscribers and anyone who wants to share their artwork in a private area, so that we have our own group and hopefully no trolls. But if you would be interested in something like this, where you would come to my group and share your work and share challenges and just have a good time together, please indicate that in comments below.